Okay, so we're back to talk about the importance of sleep, part 2. So there's really two systems that are working that are our sleep signaling systems to tell us to go to sleep, and they're completely independent of each other. They don't work with each other. So the first is our circadian rhythm, which is driven by melatonin, and melatonin is driven by light, and we'll get more into that in just a second. And then the second system is sleep pressure, which is this chemical called adenosine. And so as we wake up and become active, adenosine starts to kind of build up. And once it hits some critical capacity, that's our signal to go to bed. So imagine this is a 24-hour cycle, a full day, right? So when we'll say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is daylight, and we'll say 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. is nighttime. Now, this is not obviously exact, it's just more for simplification. So when we look at melatonin, it usually, when there's light out, I told you it's a light-sensitive chemical, our melatonin levels tend to run low. And then as the sun starts to set and it starts becoming nighttime, we see that kind of spike in melatonin, which is why a lot of people take melatonin to go to sleep. Now, melatonin doesn't make you sleepy. It's just the chemical that tells your brain, hey, it's nighttime. It's probably time to go to bed. The other thing is that now in the day and age of technology, a lot of us are on electronics. We're on computers, we're on our phones, we're watching TV, and that light can actually impact melatonin, which is another reason why they say that you should probably stay off of these devices at some point before you go to bed. Now, on cell phones, there is a feature called night mode, which kind of gets rid of that light and kind of allows you to still be on the device, but not really get that lack of melatonin. And so just a feature to kind of look into. If you go under settings, you can find it. So that's the circadian rhythm melatonin component. The adenosine component, again, once we wake up, let's say we wake up at 7 a.m., it starts to kind of rise until it hits some critical capacity, which is usually around 11 o'clock at night. And then once you go to sleep, that level starts to kind of come down again. And that is kind of pressure for us to sleep. Now, a lot of us use caffeine, and caffeine is actually a direct competitive inhibitor of adenosine. So let me go through this real quick. So there's an adenosine receptor, and as adenosine increases, it binds to this adenosine receptor, and that's the signal to sleep. When we drink caffeine, it basically competitively competes with adenosine and kind of gets rid of that drive to go to sleep. So it's kind of bypassing the system. The problem is when adenosine doesn't bind to that receptor, it continues to increase. And so once caffeine wears off, we're even more tired than we were before, which is why people are having cups and cups and cups of coffee. The last thing I want to talk about is this concept of REM versus non-REM sleep. So non-REM is non-rapid eye movement, and REM is rapid eye movement. And basically, you need at least 5 cycles at a minimum to get restful sleep. So what do each of these cycles kind of do? Well, first of all, I'll tell you that we need to talk about non-REM sleep, which is the time our brain is kind of weeding out extraneous information, negative things that we don't need. And REM sleep is when we're kind of organizing what's left behind and turning those into memories and combining them with previous memories, which is why a lot of people think for long-term memory retention, what you really need is a sleep cycle to kind of help remember things. Now, each of these cycles lasts about 90 minutes, give or take. And so therefore, if you do the math, you can see in order to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you would need 5 cycles, which is why they say the average person needs about 8 hours of sleep. Now, for part 3, we're going to talk about the importance of sleep and the tips to kind of help you improve your sleep.